So I think that you and I are like the Katniss and Peeta of Disney adults.
What are we talking about?
We're really attractive.
Sure.
First, wildly popular. Everyone loves us.
Okay.
And love each other.
Sure.
Happily ever after.
Right.
Uh-huh. But also highly traumatized. Well, middle age.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes you're trying to get a ticket to Bippity Boppity Boutique, and it feels like the Hunger Games.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to start with. Well, welcome to We Don't Talk About Disney, a podcast where we discuss everything Disney, from theme parks, trip planning, and media to news and lore. I'm Laura, and this is my husband.
Still Matt.
We are partners in life and partners in our love of Disney. We believe it's kind of fun to do the impossible, and we're glad you're here. This is the 4th episode of our Disney World Newbies series. We hope that you will find it interesting and helpful, whether you're planning your first trip or 50th trip. But we will assume that listeners have little to no knowledge or experience with the parks in this series. So it's a great beginner's guide. So I was going to start because we ran out of time in our last episode to talk about the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, which, if you are bringing a child between the ages of, I think it's 3 and 12, you probably want to know that exists, because
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. As Matt alluded to, getting a reservation is difficult. It's very popular. At this moment, there's only one location, and that's in Magic Kingdom. I believe the plan is to reopen the Disney Springs Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, so that would be another option. But as of April 2024, as far as I'm aware, that location is still closed. So Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique is a makeover, like you can be made over into a princess or a knight, based on your choosing. It's a really fun experience. We got to do it once when our daughter was 4, and I mean, it was really awesome. It's really cute. So
oddly enough, the stuff they have for little boys is very lacking.
Yeah,
Very
they
lacking.
had some prince costumes for a while, and now it's just the night stuff, so they don't have as much for boys. I mean, they probably just don't have. It's vastly more girls that want to
Maybe,
go.
yeah.
Our son is a big fan, though. We actually, so that would be another option. And again, since we're not affiliated with Disney, we can let you know. Over the pandemic,
Bippity Poopity Boutique.
BBB, we'll call it. It's a little hard to say. Was closed for a long time because obviously you have to be, to like give someone a makeover, your, close quarters. So a lot of the staff, that they call them the fairy godmothers that work in the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, were on furlough, or they just got let go. I'm not sure exactly how Disney handled that with their staff. And so there not a bunch, but a few businesses popped up. Basically, folks who were working at BBB and didn't have a job were offering makeovers where they come to your hotel room, and it doesn't have to be on Disney property. If you're in the area of that Central Florida area, they'll come to you. And we did, I don't know, do you want to say the name of the
I would
place we
love
did?
to say the name, but I don't remember it.
I believe it was, no, I'm gonna forget. It was As You Wish Magical Experiences. That was the one that we did, and they were great, so I'd recommend them. But
They were great.
There are others also that I'm sure are
They
good.
were great, and then my brother went and used them, and they were also great with different people.
Okay, so 2 experiences that
two
were
great experiences. I would say, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. That was great. They come to your room or your Airbnb, and they do it, and give you the whole experience, and the kids just love it because they're in their comfort zone, and it's great. It doesn't take time away from your park time to do it that way. They'll come early before you go to the park, and that's what we did, and that was great. I would say, on a semi-unrelated note, there are these websites. The one I'm thinking of is called Mouse Watcher, Where if you don't get a Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique reservation, you can pay for a subscription fee, and they're supposed to alert you when something opens up. And I don't recommend using that. We tried that, and I don't know. Every time they said a thing was open, and it wasn't, and it kind of really just felt like not a. I don't want to say it was a scam because it probably wasn't, but it didn't feel reliable.
And to be fair, the week that we went and we could not get one was also the week that there's a cheerleading competition. So I imagine a lot of cheerleader little sisters probably were getting their makeover. So that may have been why it was especially hard. But yeah. So if you can get a reservation, it's cool. If you can't, and if you do some Googling, you'll find it. There is, so Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique is located in Cinderella's castle. If you can't walk through the walkway, you walk around the side and it's like in the back near the carousel. If you're facing the castle from the back, to the left, there's a store called Sir Mickey's, which if you're not getting a makeover, but you still want like a princess costume and you want to buy it in the park to wear, that's Sir Mickey's is where they have all that stuff. And then next to that, there's a photo spot where if you have your photo pass, like if you've paid for that, you can get photos taken. So even whether you get a makeover or not, it's kind of a cute. Yeah. Like if your kids are in their costumes and you want to get, and these photos are really nice. You know, it's like kind of not with a character, but it's like in front of a backdrop of some kind and I think
it seems relevant to say here if your kids are in their Disney princess costumes looking like Jasmine or Belle or Ariel, that's great for them to get pictures. But what if someone older, say someone in their 20s, is trying to go and get their picture taken in their Jasmine costume?
You're not allowed, adults are not allowed to wear costumes into the park. So that's something to be aware of. Because they want the characters to be like unique and special, and so you're not allowed to wear a costume. You can obviously you dress up in your Disney clothes, but
yeah, you can dress up. The takeaway is if a child could mistake you for the princess, you probably shouldn't wear that. They'll ask you to change.
Yeah,
it's okay for the minors and kids to dress up. That's perfectly acceptable, but we can't have like 3 generations of Rapunzels walking through the park. Right. That wouldn't be good.
Right. All right, so we've been working through the different lands in Magic Kingdom, and we're up to Liberty Square.
All right.
Liberty Square is the only land in Disney World that is different than Disneyland Park.
Is that right?
Disneyland Park has New Orleans Square. I believe, you may remember better than I, that they thought Florida being closer to New Orleans, it wasn't like exotic or different. So
just wasn't interesting enough. Yeah.
On opening day, there was a couple of attractions in Liberty Square. Liberty Square, it always seems to be kind of a small area, but I'm not sure if it actually is, or like an area you sort of like walk through.
Yeah, it feels like a pass-through kind of area. When you said Liberty Square was the area, I was like, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
So when the park on opening day, there was an attraction that is no longer there called the Diamond Horseshoe Revue.
The who?
It was a stage show.
Sure.
And kind of in a Western style, similar to the Hoop-de-Doo musical review, which is a show that
the happiest show on earth.
Currently available. You can go see at Fort Wilderness, which is one of the resorts. And now it's a table service restaurant called the Diamond Horseshoe. And it's very funny because I was trying to find info about this like original opening day attraction, but if you Google Diamond Horseshoe Revue, you just get
the restaurant
reviews of the restaurant, even though it's spelled different.
How is the restaurant?
I don't think it's a favorite.
Okay, well,
it's not a favorite. But I didn't do a deep dive, and we haven't eaten there, so I won't turn you off unnecessarily. But I think it's a middle of the road table service. And then the other attraction, which is still there, and is my favorite attraction, is the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, that's a great one.
And I think someday we'll probably do a whole episode on the Haunted Mansion because it is just a really cool.
There's a lot you can do on just that one ride.
Yeah, there's cool history. The making of the ride's really interesting. There's a special on Disney Plus about it. It's just a really cool ride. From the outside, it looks like just like a pretty old house, and that was I think a Walt Disney.
A pretty old house.
Yes.
Not a pretty old house.
No, like it's like a nice looking house on the inside, and then on the outside, and then the inside is haunted.
They wanted it. They originally wanted it to look tattered and torn on the outside to make it seem spookier. But Walt said, "No, we're gonna have our parks look nice and pristine. We're not gonna have this, dilapidated mansion." So they had to get kind of creative to make it look a little ominous while still looking gorgeous.
And there's 999 ghosts, and there's always room for one more.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. This ride, as we'll talk about, and we can end by talking about Genie Plus a little more, but is one ride that the queue is really neat, and there's like some things outside to look at, and if you do, I assume, actually I don't know, because we always use DAS, or the only times I've gone. I don't know if I've ever done a Genie Plus for Haunted Mansion. But if you do DAS, the queue is not wheelchair accessible.
Correct.
So if you are doing a DAS Plus or you just have a wheelchair, I don't know if they probably give you a return time. Even if you don't have DAS.
Yeah.
That's how they do that.
Yeah.
Why are you saying yeah?
I don't know. You said, is that how they do that? I said, yes, that is how they do that.
Okay. So they don't just let you on. Maybe it depends how.
It depends how busy it is. I mean, if it's a 2-hour long wait, no, they don't just let you on.
Okay, they'll give you return time. But if it might be one that is worth, or if you're like, do I use my Genie Plus for this and then go ride something else? This might be one to go ride something else while you're waiting on another return time, because the queue is pretty cool. So standing through it is a neat experience. I'm a fan. I don't consider it to be actually scary, but our kids are terrified of it. So
our kids think Indiana Jones is a horror movie.
They're wimpies. I don't know where we went wrong.
I don't know either. I guess we didn't expose them to enough like Predator and stuff like that when they were babies. But so it's funny because when they were building this ride, this ride took decades to build.
And the Disneyland one or the Disney World one?
Well, to design, I guess both. But the issue was, and they had two lead designers when it was kind of in its conceptual phase, and one designer wanted it to be scary and another designer wanted it to be funny, and they just couldn't quite figure out, they just kept butting heads, and in the final design, and if you've been on the ride, I guess you probably haven't been on the ride for listening to this podcast, but the way the ride goes is the first half of it ends up being kind of spooky, not scary, really not scary.
There's no like jump scares or like it isn't much milder than any like Halloween haunted house you would walk through.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. I think it's cool. I just think it looks really cool inside.
And then once you get outside of the mansion and the ride, then the song starts and it gets goofy, and so they kind of just did a serious. I'd say serious. I wouldn't say it's a spooky ride, but they the first half it's serious and then it gets goofy, and it's a big fan favorite. It's a favorite of ours. There's a bunch of really cool things about it. Like if you're on the My Park Experience app or whatever it's called, and you're looking at wait times, the lowest wait time you're going to see for it is 13 minutes instead of the typical 5-minute increments of all the other rides. This one gets a 13-minute. Just to,
so if it's a 13-minute, it's probably walk on.
Yeah, probably walk on.
Yeah.
But they do all kinds of cool things. There's a bunch of cool stuff about the Haunted Mansion. They just added a Hatbox Ghost, which for the purpose of this podcast probably doesn't mean very much to you, but it's a big fan favorite. There's a movie that just came out about the Haunted Mansion that we liked in 2023. Yes. Yeah.
There's been two recent ones. There's a Muppets one, which I liked, and then there's just a human one.
A human one, but without Muppets.
There's a Muppet-free Haunted Mansion.
That's how they bill it. This is the Muppet-free Haunted Mansion. It was good. It didn't do very well, but partially was because they released it in May, which is really weird. Not when you think to release. Yeah.
Was it in it wasn't in theaters, was it?
It was. It was in theaters and
because it opened on Disney Plus.
Yeah, and on Disney Plus on Halloween. So but it didn't do very well, but it was fun. It was good.
I liked it.
If you want to like it, you will.
Yeah. All right, so the present day attractions, obviously Haunted Mansion's still there, and the Hall of Presidents is still there.
Speaking of Haunted Mansion, I'd say it's a must-do. I keep rating these rides
Haunted
as we talk
Mansion,
about it. It's a
you got to
must-do.
do Haunted Mansion, yeah.
It's a day one ride. Don't leave Disney without doing Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, and it does go down sometimes, but not a whole lot. So odds are you'll get to it.
Good time to do it is if you want to sneak away during the fireworks. It's real close to some viewing areas. Yeah. It's a good do it during the fireworks kind of thing.
Or right after the fireworks.
Or right after, yeah.
Hall of Presidents was not an opening day attraction at Disney World. The Abraham Lincoln animatronic was one of the first, or was the first human?
It's an animatronic, so it's not a human. It's a robot.
I know, but the first humanoid.
It is. Yeah, so it was the first humanoid. It was the first audio animatronic. So
I thought I think the Tiki Birds.
Well, it was the first. Audio. Yes. Okay. The Tiki Birds were the first audio animatronic.
Oh, was it the first human?
It was the first human audio animatronic.
Human.
It's not a human, but it's meant to look like a human, and it was made for
meant to look like it. It does look like it,
and it was
pretty good.
The world. It was made for the World's Fair. For whatever reason, Walt Disney had an obsession with not just like America, but American presidents, and specifically Abraham Lincoln. Dude loved Abraham Lincoln. So he made an audio animatronic, and in the World's Fair, if I remember right, it gave the Gettysburg Address, and so he talked, and it was funny because when they were first building it, it kept sweating, and they couldn't figure out why. Yeah, I know. They're like, why is Abraham Lincoln so sweaty all the time? And it was because the oil and things from the gears and stuff kept leaking out,
seeping out.
Yes, they had to deal with it. But you can actually still see the Abe Lincoln that's there now is not the original from the 1960s or 50s or whenever. But you can still see the original in
Disneyland.
It's in Disney World, and I believe it is in Hollywood Studios. You go, and there's a little Disney museum in Hollywood Studios, which we'll get to when we talk about our Hollywood Studios episode.
When we went into.
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln was in
there? Yeah, right next to the Percy Jackson stuff. Abe Lincoln was in there.
Either I blocked it out or I didn't notice.
You certainly would have blocked it out. This thing looked horrifying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, we looked at it. So you can still see the original, but not at that park. But for whatever reason, Disney loves presidents, and so every new president gets an audio animatronic, and they get to give a little talk in this Hall of Presidents. Our daughter surprisingly loved it.
When she was 4, she loved it. She thought it was amazing.
She wanted to keep doing. I would not call this a must see. This is
it's air conditioned. It's just like a theater show.
There's no wait.
Sit in theater seats. So, and actually, that's might be a decent point. Throughout the Disney parks, there are a lot of shows that you sit in like movie theater type seats. If you're a wheelchair user, typically you will sit, depending on the show, in the very front row or the very back row. You're always allowed to transfer if you prefer to do that.
But, and you park your wheelchair to the side and you can transfer. I'm trying to think about this. I'm a big history buff. You would never know from listening to this podcast. But I've read tons and tons of books on history. I probably have a bookshelf full of American history books. And it is it was difficult for me because it's a major, I don't say a whitewashing of American history, but it's like a major
mouse washing.
It's a mouse washing of American history. It's all the best spots dealing with none of the tricky things, which it's a theme park. I guess it doesn't have to, but I don't know. It was hard for me to stomach a lot of it. It's obviously it's historically accurate and all those things, but it's just, I don't know. It ignores all the really troublesome things. And then you've got these like really
so it's like what they teach in Florida schools.
Yeah, right. It has all these problematic.
So school kids are like, what's the problem? Like, this is really what happened.
It has all these Andrew Jackson's just up there. There's all these problematic presidents. Like, he's looking all regal. Like, here's Lyndon B. Johnson, and here's actually I think he's probably one of the really good ones. Here's all these people, and you're like, I don't know about this. But whatever. It is what it is. I did it because I'm a history buff, and then I was annoyed. But like, those of us who really specialize in certain topics kind of like to be annoyed by things like that.
Well, actually.
Yeah. See, we like to be and I was that guy too. But it was with my 5-year-old daughter, and I was like, see, all these white guys, ignore them. Just, you could be president too. She's like, no, I don't want to be president. Like, all right.
Another attraction in this area is the Liberty Square Riverboat. The perk of this boat is there's a river that goes through this area of the park, and so if you ride it, you get some nice views. Maybe just a nice break, but it's not a must-do. Any other thoughts about you can get a turkey leg?
You can get a turkey leg. So there's a sit-down restaurant at Liberty Square which
has like Thanksgiving food.
And it might be fine. Yeah, it may be fine. It's got some cool theming if you're into the colonial period.
Mm-hmm.
But we're just never in the mood for Thanksgiving food in 98-degree humid.
Yeah. If you're there on holidays, might be a decent one. What's it called?
I don't know. It feels miscast. There's a Christmas store there, which is pretty cool. There is also a parasol store in Liberty Square, which, funnily enough, every time we go, I think, well, the first thing we're going to do is buy Sunny a parasol because it gets so hot, and it's like you just get to carry shade with you wherever you go. And they're cute, but we just never end up doing it. So,
all right.
That's all I have to say about Liberty Square.
Let's move on to Adventureland.
Oh, another funny. So
let's not move on to Adventureland.
Never. So, in Liberty Square, rumor has it. Rumor has it that there is, and now this part is true. Is that as you're walking down Liberty Square, you'll be going down a street. Like when you're walking in the middle of it, and it's supposed to simulate a colonial street. And there is like a patch of like a brown strip of sidewalk. And so it's like most of it is like a brick color, but there's a brown strip that runs right through it. And rumor has it is that strip is supposed to simulate when people would toss their chamber pots back in the colonial periods, like out the window, and it's supposed to be a poop river. I don't know if it's actually supposed to symbolize that. But you can tell the people you're with that it does, and your kids would love it. If you see a little brown strip, you'll know exactly that that's the poop river.
Liberty Tree Tavern is the name of it's a this describes it as a buffet. I thought it was more like a family style.
A buffet? I can't imagine it's still a buffet.
Probably not.
No, buffets went out of business. That ain't it.
Oh, that's cute. We should eat in here.
No, we shouldn't. We just give a 5-minute talk to all of our listeners about how we don't want to eat here. Listeners,
my mom would have loved this.
This happens every trip. We look at it and think we really want to do it, but when the time comes, it's not going to be cute to be having your Thanksgiving. The next time
we're going to go is Christmas. So maybe we'll want to.
We didn't want to go last Christmas. We were there over Christmas,
there and
we still didn't want to go. So,
all right. Should we check on our kid before we go to the next?
No, he's most likely fine. My other kid's texting me though. She's on Sis is on a sleepover and is begging me to let her stay for a second night. So
she hasn't even made it through the first.
She hasn't made it through the first night yet. She can't stay for a second night.
All right. So Adventureland, original opening day, Adventureland was there. One of the original ones was a Jungle Cruise, which is also a movie with The Rock based on the ride. The ride was first. Jungle Cruise is a fun ride. It's a Disney classic. Basically, you're on this boat, which is kind of like a pontoon boat almost, but it's just like a flat boat with seats on it.
Yeah.
And there's a skipper who tells bad jokes as he drives you around. And this was kind of a I don't overstate it, but when the original idea for this ride, Walt Disney wanted real animals.
Yeah.
And but they were like, okay, that's not realistic. So they have animatronic animals, which are very cool. But it's kind of a precursor to, Animal Kingdom, which came much later. But, just the idea of getting to go on a ride.
We could do a whole episode on this ride too, when you think really, because there are the things that they, because now this was an original ride, yes?
Yes.
And so the things that they did back in even Disneyland, so even back in 1955, the things that they did to make the, because jungle is not, indigenous to California. So the things that they did to make it look like a jungle were just so cool and so ingenious. Like, they took a tree. I'm trying to remember this exactly.
Oh, yeah, they turned it upside down.
Yeah, they took a tree and it stripped all the leaves and everything off of it. And then they turned it upside down. And so if you imagine what like a big thick tree looks like, and then you turn it upside down and plant the top half of it, and it makes it look like this weird, rooty structure.
Kind of like a baobab tree or something, but like it wasn't.
Yeah, so they do all kinds of really cool stuff like that. And they tint the water green so that you can't see all the gears and the bottom half of all the animals and stuff like that. So it really, you go there and you're like, wow, this looks like jungle water. All of you who are experts in jungle water, you're like, that's what this looks like, but it's all tinted that way so that it hides things, and it's really cool the way they create these illusions.
It is neat. Another opening day attraction in Adventureland was the Swiss Family Treehouse.
I'm not done.
You're not done talking about the Jungle Cruise?
First off, never. Second, hot take, I don't think this is a day one ride for me.
No, I mean, unless you're like, I want to hit all the Disney classics, then that's a Disney classic that's there.
It is a classic. If you want, if you're like, I want to kind of see what Disney's about, you could probably put this on there. The issue that I have with this ride is you can't hear the skipper. For whatever reason,
they're like, we must keep our original walkie-talkie.
Yeah, the waterfall is louder than the speakers in the boat. So like you can't hear him very well. And that to me is a problem with the experience.
Yeah.
It's cool. Lines are outrageous.
Yeah, lines like if you want to ride Jungle Cruise, it's definitely one that people recommend like getting your either going there first or getting a reservation for it early because it lines go long. And I think that is probably due to how many people ride per hour.
Yeah.
Partially. It is popular, but
it's a classic. It's a good ride. It's not, last episode Sis said that she hates It's a Small World because it's long and the dolls are creepy. It's an entertaining ride. Mm-hmm. I just can never hear the skipper. And so that's always a problem for me. Accessibility wise, getting in and out of the boats is difficult. It's doable. You can transfer in and out, but it's difficult. Do they have a wheelchair boat?
That's what I was just looking at. I'm not sure. We always transfer, so I'm not sure. So the way you tell if you're looking at a Disney ride, if it says WAV, that stands for wheelchair access vehicle. That means you can stay in your wheelchair to get on the ride.
Must transfer to wheelchair. I got it right here. Transfer to wheelchair, so they must have so they must have a wheelchair boat. But a lot of times, so these things that say must transfer to wheelchair, what that means is you can't take your scooter or your power chair. They're in this case boat, but like the little buggy or whatever you're going to be on. We didn't talk about doom buggies, though. Whatever you're on, it's set up to strap in a manual chair, and they will have manual chairs for you. So that's what that means by you must transfer to a wheelchair. And so this one, it can be tricky to get on. It's very accessible and doable. This is if you're wheelchair bound, you can still do this one, but it's just another thing to think about. Hang on. Okay, I'm gonna need to check this out for our next ride. It looks like they have handheld captioning, so I don't know if they have a device they give you that's captioned.
Oh, can we ask for that?
But we will. I'm going to ask for that next
audio
time.
Description. That's funny.
Yeah, it's audio description, so you can see the backside of water.
So the Haunted Mansion, you do have to transfer out of your wheelchair. They don't have a wheelchair access vehicle. That's probably because it's an old ride.
Yeah.
Though, how hard is it to add a wheelchair car, Disney? Get it together.
Yeah, that's not okay. We don't need to say like, oh, it's okay that they don't have these things that are wheelchair accessible.
Not okay.
Because it's not okay.
And speaking of things that are not okay, are you done talking about Jungle Cruise now?
Until I remember the next thing, yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to move on. So, the next thing that's not okay is the Swiss Family Treehouse, which is an original opening day attraction. It is not wheelchair accessible. You
At all.
have to be ambulatory to go through that. And because of that, I've never been through it.
I went through it once with Sis, and it's fine. It's a treehouse. If you're a Swiss Family Robinson nut,
yeah,
thank you for finding us.
All tens of you.
Yeah, thanks for finding us. It'll be awesome because it's built to be exactly like in the show.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, it's built to be exactly like the show. So it's pretty cool if you're into that.
Over the age of
100.
70.
Yeah.
No, I saw Swiss Robinson.
And so that's why they say it's not wheelchair accessible, because it's a scale replica. I say horse crap. Just make it wheelchair accessible.
Yeah, put a dang ramp in it.
Put a dang ramp in it.
All right. So we won't linger on that one. Could be a good one though if you have kids that need to like get some energy out.
It's right by Mister's, so it's kind of nice if it's hot.
Yeah,
it's
that's shaded. What me and Sunny just sat in the Mister's. Well, you guys went.
There's no line. You just run through
it. Shout out. Oh wait, no, not a shout out. Just a regular out.
Okay.
No shouting required. The third and final opening day attraction in Adventureland was Tropical Serenade. Do you know what that is?
I was going to shout it out, but no, I have no idea.
It is now known as the Enchanted Tiki Room.
Oh!
But apparently it's called Tropical Serenade. First, the Enchanted Tiki Room. You've got to go to the Enchanted Tiki Room.
It's a day one experience.
There's no line most of the time. If there is, you get through it quick. It's really cool. Those were the first audio animatronics, also the first female Imagineers were brought on board because of this. It's a show, not a ride.
Birds designed by birds.
Okay. Wow. But there's some history on that. But yeah, no, it's cute. It's got a cute little song. It's fun. I don't know. It's neat. I don't want to spoil it. If you don't know anything about it, just go in and.
It's cool, and it gets cooler, kind of as the show goes on. Mm-hmm. It gets very cool. So yeah, it's one that you don't want to be spoiled for.
There is like a simulated thunderstorm, so if you have weenie kids like ours, be aware of that. But
it can be a cool thing to do when you are waiting for your DAS or your Genie Plus time for
something else.
For Jungle Cruise. Go do Tiki Room. It's definitely a day one experience. We do it. We try to do it every time we go. We missed it this last time, but
yeah, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point. Mm-hmm. But so today, the attractions you can expect to find in Adventureland. We talked about the Swiss Family Treehouse. There's also the Magic Carpets of Aladdin, which I really like that little area. They have like a little Agrabah. Like street behind it, and
it's a little cut through from Frontierland to Adventureland.
Yeah,
that street, which is no one's ever there for some reason. No one knows.
Well, there's not much there. I mean, there's it's not. It's I don't think it's the walkway you're thinking of. Okay. It's behind Magic Carpets of Aladdin. That's where the Jasmine and Aladdin meet and greet is.
Yeah, and there's a walkway right. That's right. It's right there.
Yeah, but the Agrabah is not the walkway.
Well, no, but the walkway. This makes great audio. Let me tell you. Good.
No, you're right though. It is between, like, it's the connector to Frontierland. But
it is, and it's no one knows it. You might say that it is a diamond in the rough.
No, my God.
It's a nice cut through because you skip a huge chunk of the park to cut through from one area to another, which is mm-hmm. Look, we're trying to save our steps here.
Yeah, that's true. It's basically a Dumbo ride.
It's basically a Dumbo ride.
So slow moving kid ride, but it's fun. And it's a newer ride, so the seats are they're good size. So adults can ride anything at Disney World, but that is not one where you're gonna feel squished to get into. Jungle Cruise and Enchanted Tiki Room, we talked about those. Pirates of the Caribbean. It was not originally included at Magic Kingdom. Also because they thought it wouldn't be interesting because Florida is so near the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. They thought it wouldn't seem exciting and exotic. But everyone who came to the park was like, "What the heck? Where's the Pirates ride? This is what we came for." And so it was added in 1973. So they got it there pretty quick. It's a Disney classic ride. Must do.
Definitely day one.
Do it on your first day. Yeah. It's right next to Jungle Cruise, so you can.
It's gotta be. It may you. It's hard because you don't want to tell someone what their first ride should be, but you have to do this ride. It's a must do. It's a classic. It's awesome. You will smell this ride for years later. Not that it's bad, but sometimes, like, you know what I mean? You can smell it.
Oh my gosh. Well, and yeah, they do. It's purposefully.
Yeah.
It smells like there's a fire scene and it smells smoky, and yeah, that's cool. What came first, ride or movie?
Ride.
Right.
Obviously. Sorry.
Which all the old farts know, but just in case you're young.
The ride came first, and they retrofitted Jack Sparrow into the ride.
Yeah, so Jack Sparrow is in the ride, but he was not originally. But it's great, and I think they actually did a good job. I like that they added Jack Sparrow. I don't have a problem with that. They also, what's cool is the original Pirates of the Caribbean, there's this one scene you go into, and there's like a woman in the original, which I'm sure if you YouTube you can find footage of, but original was there was a woman and she's being auctioned off by pirates. They're pirates, so they're bad. And later, and it was, I mean, not that long ago, because I mean, I went in 2005, and I don't think this had been changed yet. But since then, they've changed it, and they added a new character who is a female pirate. I think her name is Red. Is that her name, or is that just
it's Red? Yeah,
Red. Yeah. And so they kind of redid that scene to make it a little more fitting with modern sensibilities. Dining shout out. This is where you get your Dole Whip in Magic Kingdom.
Great little spot to sit too, right across the street from that Pirates ride.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is a good.
No one seems to know about it.
There's a quick service dining location. Also, they're working on adding. It's the Tortuga Tavern, I think, is what that little area is called. And you can get your Dole Whip. You can sit in there. It's shady. Is there indoor seating or is it just outdoor?
It's indoor and then it's covered outdoor.
Covered outdoor, yeah. So both. And the indoor seating, I think, kind of goes into Frontierland, isn't that? Because that's where the Pecos Bill or...
Yes, it goes into Frontierland. What's also really cool, and I don't remember the name of it, so that, again, I'm showing how much prep I put into this podcast. We're
very professional podcasters.
Okay. Laura has notes and charts and graphs and all kinds of stuff. I am just along for the ride. But there is a scavenger hunt that you can do, and you can get your stuff near the Pirates ride. And it's got 5 sections, and each section is supposed to take 20 to 30 minutes. We have a child in our party who absolutely adores scavenger hunts.
We got to do that next time.
And so we got to do it. However, the thing is, now these scavenger hunts are very cool. They're self-paced. You get a little reward after it.
A Pirate's Adventure, Treasures of the Seven Seas.
Pirate's Adventure, Treasures of the Seven Seas. Very cool. However, Magic Kingdom is not a park that needs more to do, so we've never done it. But it's a very cool, like, if you don't get a Genie Plus, or if you're have some slow eaters in the party or something like that, and you have 30 minutes or an hour to kill, you can, in Adventureland, grab a couple cards of the Seven Seas Adventure Pirate thing. What's it called?
Okay, so yeah, it's called like the Tortuga Tavern. I will say we've put hardly any news into these podcasts. There's not enough time, but one piece of news is that they're adding a Pirates themed lounge, I think.
Okay.
Over in the area. I haven't said exactly where it's going to be, so some people think it's going to be that Tortuga Tavern. So if that's true, that might be closed for a while.
Okay.
While they're doing that, but it should be pretty neat when it finally opens. But you can get your Dole Whip. The Dole Whip is right next to Magic Carpets of Aladdin, and it's delicious. It's pineapple soft serve, which to me originally I was like, pineapple soft serve, like I want pineapple ice cream. No, it's great.
It's delicious. It just fits the climate so well. Yep. There's a very cool little cart that sells glass things there, and it's great.
Glass things.
Yeah, like shot glasses and things of that nature, and it's great.
Sure. Any other thoughts about Adventureland?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, actually, I was going to say, so yeah, that Tortuga Tavern, that's the outdoor seating. The indoor seating that it leads into is actually the Pecos Bill Tall Tale Inn and Cafe, which I would say is our Is it our favorite quick service in Magic Kingdom?
No, because Casey's Casey's Corner takes that
like
for me.
It's Mexican food, and I feel like you don't get a lot of Tex-Mex kind of, and it's good. It's pretty good for theme park Mexican. I mean,
and it's good. Yeah, it's good. I'd say it's my second favorite. It's worth planning your day around.
Yes, like I want to be in Adventureland.
I want to do the left side of Magic Kingdom so we can have lunch here or dinner here or whatever. Yeah, I'd say it's outside of. Yeah, so I'm thinking through these sit-down restaurants, and I'd probably take it over almost any sit-down restaurant at Magic Kingdom.
What do you mean by sit-down?
Like a table service restaurant. I would take it over any of those, and it's a quick service. You would? So yeah.
You take it over Cinderella's Royal Table.
Well, no. Okay, so obviously Cinderella's Royal Table and Be Our Guest are things of their own. But I would rather eat there than like.
Where else have you eaten?
The Crystal Palace.
Okay.
It's good. It's good. Look, I'm trying to agree with you. Let me agree with you.
Okay. Frontierland. It's our final land.
Final land.
Opening day, there was the Country Bear Jamboree, which is still there. It's currently closed because it's getting a big redo. So the songs and whatnot are going to be totally changed in that. So I don't know what it'll be like when it opens. Probably worth checking out if you're there when it opens. Though when it first opens, it's the wait is probably going to be lengthy, but it's fun. I liked the old one, so I can't speak to the new one yet. But
it's a classic.
It's a show. It's another one where you're going to sit in theater seats.
You may as well do it.
If you are a wheelchair user, you will sit in the front of that theater.
But it's not like sitting in the front of any theater. You're not craning your neck or anything like that.
Everything fine. Another opening day, which I didn't know this was an opening day attraction, was the Frontierland Shooting Gallery.
Yeah, so, okay, everyone talks about how much more expensive Disney's getting, right? Everything's way too expensive. Now, when we went back in 2015 to do the Shooting Gallery, you had to put quarters in the guns, and you had to, you got so many shots per quarter. Mm-hmm. Well, now it's free.
Oh,
Disney is cutting back the costs
look
somewhere.
At that. You don't have to spend your quarter.
You don't have to spend your quarter anymore.
Save a whole quarter.
Uh-huh.
All right, and then another thing that was there in Frontierland.
Speaking of these guns.
Oh my gosh.
Look, if you are of a certain age, which is, I'd say, mid-30s to maybe mid-50s, you remember going to the fair or the carnival or whatever and doing those little shooting gallery, like the little tin bullseye pops up and you hit it and a little thing happens. It's so nostalgic. It's just like that. There's like a little tin bullseye, and it's infrared lasers now, but you shoot the gun and it goes up and like a hat spins or like a little crow caws, and it's just a very nostalgic, very cool thing.
Neat. All right, so opening day attraction that's not there anymore were the Mike Fink keel boats.
The who?
Yeah. Which were, I'm not sure what a keel boat is, but apparently there are small boats.
But you know what Mike Fink is?
It was based on TV shows about Davy Crockett. Apparently he was a character in the Davy Crockett shows.
If you say so.
Before our time. They closed in 2001. So
oh my God, they were there for a long time.
And they were in the body of water located between Liberty Square, Frontierland, and Tom Sawyer's Island, which is where the riverboat is now. So you can still get on a boat and see the area.
If you want to get on a boat, you can do that.
You can do that. Today in this area is our son's favorite ride, the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad.
Oh my gosh.
How many times have you been on Big Thunder Mountain Railroad?
Is it upwards of 30? It might be.
If you're on, you should tell them how it works if you're on a wheelchair.
You just take your wheelchair right on the track. I'm just kidding.
They just shove
you on there. No, so if you're in a wheelchair, now this comes with some caveats. During typical hours, so if it's in the evening after the fireworks, it's not this way. But during the day and pre-fireworks, they run 2 trains at once that have 2 different loading stations. You would never know this if you weren't in a wheelchair because everything looks exactly the same. But if you're in a wheelchair, you have to transfer. So you transfer out of your chair into the car. And obviously, they can't transfer you off at a different station than you get there. So you go around once, and when you're done with the first ride, everyone gets off. but you're at the second station where your wheelchair is not there. So you get to ride it twice because you have to ride back to your original spot. So they have.
Alternatively, if you're not sure of going on a roller coaster, may not be the first one you want to do.
No, so
because you have to do it twice.
Yeah, so you get to do it twice. There's basically, I said that took a long way of saying there's 2 trains running that board at 2 different stations at the same time. You wouldn't realize that if you're not paying attention, if you're not in a wheelchair, but you get to ride it twice so you get back to where you started. It is a very jerky roller coaster. It's my son's favorite roller coaster, which is really annoying because it's the one that I feel like he is closest to imminent death when he's on. Because there's no, I mean, you're safe. You know, if you're able to hold your head and trunk and everything up, you're totally safe. But the lap bar, it's like a community lap bar. So I'm me, 200-pound guy is sitting next to my 60-pound son, and we get the same lap bar. Well, it closes a lot closer to me than it does to him. So it's a very jerky ride. So he's sliding all over the place. And so you have to really hold him in place because he doesn't have the upper body strength to hold on to the lap bar. So it's a very wild experience. Almost like
physics would tell us you're not going anywhere, but it feels like you are.
You're not going anywhere. However, if you have a very small behind, like my 8-year-old son, you slide. Yeah, and so that's his problem, is that he slides. So you got to hold him up, and it's a perfectly safe ride, but it's a wild one.
It is a little jerky.
It's jerky. It's supposed to be because you're on a mining car.
Right.
It's good. I'd say it's probably the second best roller coaster at Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, it's good.
Behind Tron. I think it's better than Snow White's.
I like Seven Dwarfs more, but just preference.
So definitively, this is the second best.
My goodness.
Look, I've ridden this roller coaster so many times because he loves it. It's his favorite ride, so we do it. But
this is also one where the queue is not wheelchair accessible, so they will just tell you to go over to the exit.
They'll tell you to go to the exit and get in.
I'm not. Have they ever given us a return time there? I feel like that was just supposed to go for the exit. You might get a return time depending on how busy they are.
Yeah, they tell you to go over to the exit and then you just walk right on. Now you may get a return time, but I'm not sure exactly how that goes.
It's not one of the most popular.
No, and especially it's right next to Tiana's Bayou. So
yes, so that would be another thing. So Splash Mountain classic ride unfortunately is no more, and they're changing it into Tiana's Bayou Adventure, so it's called.
Which looks like it's going to be very, very cool.
Yeah, I'm very excited. It's opening this summer, so summer of 2024. So if you are going after that, check it out. It will be crazy. There's been a lot of buzz about this ride, so lines are going to be nuts, probably for the first year that it's open. But it's cool. One thing about it, it's the same track as Splash Mountain, and so basically what Splash Mountain is, it's a flume ride, if you're familiar. So you sit in like a log ride type car. It's two people to a row, and you go around basically like a slow dark ride with a lot of animatronics. And then I think there's 2 drops. There's like a smaller drop inside and then a big drop outside. It looks very intense. The drop is not intense. You get splashed, but you don't get super splashed. So it's a good ride. And I'm sure the new animatronics are going to be really cool. So any other thoughts about Frontierland? We already talked about Pecos Bill, which was my dining shout out.
Frontierland, if you're getting well, you know what, this may not be relevant actually. I was gonna say if you're getting a little tired of the crowds, Frontierland just tends to be a little less.
That's probably not gonna be
trafficy, but it's probably not gonna be.
And because the last time we were there, Splash Mountain was closed, so one of the main attractions over there was closed. There wasn't as many people.
It's a great spot to see the parades. They have a couple parades that run through, and they start and stop over by Frontierland, so it can be a cool place to see them. Yeah, I guess that's all I really have to say on the subject.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about Genie Plus. So Genie Plus is a paid, you have to pay on top of the cost of your ticket. They have changed how it works a couple of times, so don't take my word for it. look at your My Disney Experience app, look at the website, look at blogs that update regularly, and make sure you understand how it works and what to do. As of now, you cannot buy it ahead of time. You can buy it at 7 a.m. of the day that you're going to the park, I believe, like for that day. So, and it does sell out. So obviously if they sell, if they sell too many, then it's not a shortage.
Right, there's no point. Yeah,
the lightning lane will be just as long as the regular lane. So it's a lot cheaper than some other fast pass type options like at Universal or other theme parks. Okay, so Genie Plus. One thing that people talk about is, I see this question all the time: should I buy Genie Plus for this park or which park do you know? If you're going to buy Genie Plus, Magic Kingdom is the park to buy it for. It has the most rides. It has really popular rides with long wait times. The only thing you really want to be aware of is that there are also individual lightning lanes, which are rides like Tron. I think is the only one in Magic Kingdom right now.
I bet you Tiana's Bayou
Tiana's Bayou probably will be. Where you have to buy that separate. So you don't have to buy Genie Plus to buy an individual lightning lane, but buying Genie Plus will not give you a return time for the individual lightning lane, right? Those are usually like the new super popular kind of rides.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing I'm going to talk about is just for accessibility concerns or whatever it is, to let you know about the bathroom situation. And all the parks are pretty much the same. So you can find family restrooms if you need like a companion bathroom throughout the park in different locations, and you can find those on your app. The first aid station also has, if you need an adult changing table, the only place you're going to find those, like a universal changing table or a larger size changing table, is in the first aid station. So they will let you go in there to change.
It's nice. I mean, they're like doctor's office beds. Okay. That's what they are. So if you ever, obviously if you need this, you've been to a doctor's office and they're like just the padded, nice beds. Okay, cool. Yeah, we did good there.
They also have baby care center, which is always next to the first aid. In Magic Kingdom, it's right next to Casey's Corner, so near the castle, that you can go to. And you don't have to, it's not just for babies. I mean, it's for like families, young kids. We've gone in there just to get out of the heat for a little bit. There's like a little room with a TV and some like cushy chairs, kid-sized chairs. There's also big companion bathroom.
They usually play a lot of the deep cuts of Disney. Like every time we go in there, it's a sequel. So it'll be like Cinderella 2 or Ariel 2. Like that's kind of what's playing down there.
Yeah, so it's a good place to find out, get a little break. They have nursing rooms if you're going with a baby. They have changing tables, but more like regular size changing tables. The Magic Kingdom Baby Care Center just has like your standard like changing table like you'd have at home. At Epcot, they are a little bigger. So if that concerns you, you'll know why I'm saying that. But so you can go in there. And they have water and also baby items that if you're like, I don't know, you ran off without something, they have like wipes, diapers.
They'll charge you, but they have them.
But yeah, you can buy them. So stuff like that. All right.
And if you're of a certain people group, don't forget to stop by the Wish Lounge. It's right down there.
Yes. We'll talk more about that later, but there's a secret lounge that only Wish kids get to go to in Magic Kingdom Park, which is pretty cool. We've been there.
And if you're into this kind of thing, it has a, I don't say one of a kind, but it's a very limited edition Thomas Kincaid painting.
Yeah.
In the Wish Kid Lounge that you can only see, probably, there. Yeah. I don't think I have anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening. You can find us on TikTok and
TikTok.
Oh, TikTok. Okay. Thanks so much for listening. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at Talk About Disney Pod. If you enjoyed our podcast, help us reach more listeners by leaving a review. TTFN.
TTFN. What is that?
Ta-ta for now.
Ta-ta for now? Oh.
That's what Tigger says. I'm saying TTFN.
Oh.
You say see you real soon.
See you real soon.
Okay.
We want to redo?
Sure.
All right.
The whole thing or just the...
Then do the whole do the
yeah,
wherever it feels right.
Thanks so much for listening. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at Talk About Disney Pod. If you enjoyed our podcast, help us reach more listeners by rating and leaving a review. TTFN.
We'll see you real soon. I feel good about that.
Make sure to listen to my podcast.